They knew that would be left through, likely because they also don't play it, and they've taken a risk. I will say I'm a little bit nervous for them because all in all, I think looking across the maps that both these teams play, I would have given them the advantage anyway.
Sure.
So a risk may not have been needed, but we'll see. G2, they've come into every series prepared, and already they're going to get slaughtered. An aggressive start out from Gambit, fighting into middle, and it's left on to Kellogg's to really do some damage.
Such a good start for Gambit here on the defensive side of their map choice. A surprise for G2 to be taking this battle on Breeze, I'm sure. What a tough round to win out. The spike dropped down in middle. And Avova has snuck into the B site, but Gambit know exactly what control they've given up. They're holding forward, shutting him down, and leaving Kellogg's to do it all. Immediately, we're seeing that aggression come out of Gambit, rushing down middle, fighting an elbow together with Defo and Nats. And that kind of sets a scary tone for the rest of this map, because G2 did not look prepared for that.
No, and I like to see it. Like, the fact that Gambit, a lot of the time when it comes to their defensive sides, are fairly passive. They're known for how slow they actually play. This time they've just gone, okay, let's just destroy them in this pistol round. Let's catch them off guard, not only with the map choice, but the style of play. I think it's also important that we talk about the two main duelists for these teams, the Jets, who are going to be performing, because from what we've seen in matches so far, for example, the only match that we actually saw Gambit lose, that was the worst performance we've seen from Defo in this entire tournament.
Yes.
Kellogg's has also been on pretty much, I think he's one of the top 5 players in the whole thing. So these two players are going to be a big focal point for this matchup. And because Breeze is so open, it makes it even more interesting.
Now they're both making a big name for themselves when it comes to Masters 3. Over on Gambit's side, you see that full buy up, but it's the Marshall in the hands of Kellogg's that can cause a couple of problems for Gambit. No surprise that even though they don't want to invest many credits into this round, they decided to just give that scope over to Kellogg's. As you said, such an open map with so many long-range duels, but Gambit are trying to avoid giving any opportunities away at this point.
I think he would have been spotted out by that. Kellogg's is going to be able to find Chronicle, though. That's the main man on this A site dealt with. Nats is also going to be here, but a lot of his utility is on the other side of the map. A little bit close for comfort there. And we know that if they give too many opportunities for Kellogg's, in fact, Avova's now found a gun. This is starting to fall apart.
That Marshall, the one weapon invested into, comes out of the round with 4 kills. And you highlighted Kellogg's as one of the top players in the tournament, someone to keep an eye on in this series. And he waits until round 2 to pull out that kind of play.
Defo 4K's the pistol, Kellogg's 4K's round 2. I'm not sure, even though it's what, like 6 PM here in Germany, I don't think I've woken up yet to be able to cope with that sort of play this early on. How has that just happened? And that, we also said that maybe this looks a little bit worrying at the moment for G2. Well, that's even scarier. If you're on the side of Gambit, you've just lost a round to basically one player.
Oh, hey, such an open map, such a long-range one. That's where you think the rifles would have the advantage, or bulldogs and so forth. But G2 worked perfectly around Kellogg's to give him those opportunities to open up the map. Now, we come into this round, and Gambit have decided to go for pretty much a full eco. Similar to what we saw from G2, it's going to be 2 sheriffs invested up into, but for the most part, this is not a round that they expect to do anything in, and we're seeing Chronicle get completely shut down by that split through mid. They've got a spike plant, and it's so hard for Gambit to get back in.
Yeah, in the early fight, G2 spotted 4 players. So at that point, it's a fairly easy rotation back to A. They just had to deal with Chronicle, obviously one of the maps that we actually see him play the Viper, because they actually pick up a Sentinel alongside it. You're not going to take Nats off a Cypher, even though he is incredibly good at that Viper play. For now, though, this is G2 just earning up not only credits because of all the rifles they kept and stole from the previous round, but also some of those ultimates. Nuclear is actually going to get dropped, though. So it may be a little bit more costly than they would have liked. If Shados can get away with a rifle, that'd be great.
Oh, he's trapped, though. He has to get all these kills to escape, and it's just going to be a little upgrade taken. I wonder if Kellogg's can manage to find a rifle as well. I think he did, just about. Yeah, he did. He got a bulldog out of it. So in terms of econ lost, it's practically nothing for G2. They're going to be very happy with that round, especially considering they did lose the pistol and now they're 2-1 up.
Yeah, this is one of those maps as well where I feel like it's almost... It's the map in the series that's the most confusing, because we know that the last time we saw these two teams play on Ascent, which will be the last map, it was very dominant for Gambit, but it's also a very good map for G2. And then you've got Icebox, where I think G2 have probably looked like the best Icebox team in the tournament so far. So I would almost say that if Gambit lose this, I'm a little bit worried for them, but if they can take this home and it goes to a third, the series would probably be theirs.
I think I'm with you there. Over on the G2 side, after a fantastic start, we're not even going to see that Bulldog used by Kellogg's to start the round out. He's popping the Blade Storm, try and get some presence towards this A side, but they don't want to overcommit. I think for a moment there, you probably started to contemplate, does Mixwell flash through the wall? You maybe updraft and try to grab a pick, but they decide they don't really want to fight this. And they've dragged over a pretty heavy rotation. The B site now solely held by Defo. He has no utility to support him over there. So if that operator doesn't connect for multiple kills, they could be in a lot of trouble if G2 went there. Because of that pressure, Shados rotates back over, and now G2 find a little bit of an emptier side. Still a couple players to deal with.
Yeah, and the scary thing is it's both the Viper and the Cypher here. So there's so much utility. Kellogg's is just going to be picked out of the sky. Cage is being popped as well to give him a little bit more time to play around some of these angles, but Nats is going to get dropped. Mixwell, he's found another, and an afterplant is inevitable.
Really good call by G2 there. They realized, okay, we've seen the Cypher, but there's probably Viper's still here, right? Has to be, from what they saw earlier with Chronicle being the only player on the site when they had that eco. Oh, that is incredibly unfortunate. Redguard just walks forward. It's shut down through the door. I don't really see a way back in here. That has to be over-peaking by G2 to give advantages, and Gambit make the same read there, just running for the hills. But look who's cutting them off. Nukia already coming up through middle, and he's going to go towards this B site to try and shut them down. He's hearing the steps. The rest of his team are rallying to his aid, and now he's going to try to stop those rifles from being carried through. The first dealt with. A shot to the back of the head takes Defo down. That might even be an off picked up for G2. At least they had the option. And yeah, Nukia's going to bring it through.
Yeah, that's a solid round for them. A full buy investment from Gambit, nothing really achieved. The site looking a little bit vulnerable on A especially. Like, if you have both Viper and Cypher on a site and you get one kill and they just walk in and plant, then I feel like that's not a very good setup. Like, something's definitely gone a little bit wrong. And although I will say, I think this is going to lean relatively heavily into the attack side for both sides. I don't think I've seen too many fantastic defensive setups just yet. I am still going to get a little bit worried for Gambit if they go that far down on their own map choice.
Now, G2 have massively impressed me recently, but Mixwell won't be doing any impressing right here and now. The operator spotted out Redgar, shut down Avova. That's a push in through the tube that has given them massive control. And now with a two-man advantage and some rifles recovered, they can just back off and run this down, allow G2 to make the next move.
Huge start. Again, the only rounds they've had any success have been based off heavy amounts of aggression, and with the Blade Storm in play, a rifle retrieved, this is now looking like a very good spot for Gambit to be in. G2, however, they're going to get spotted, and the Empress comes into play.
This is where Nukia closes in on the site. Wants to take Chronicle down, but he can't quite catch the spray. And moving in through that wall is always going to be a risk. The Hunter's Fury trying to finish him off on the site, but nothing is to be connected by that. Kellogg's surely not about to walk on through that wall. But there's a flank in play, and they have absolutely no... Oh, never mind! Redgar gets dropped. The reaction on Coldamenta brings it into a pretty winnable round for G2. They're on the A site. The second flanker on his way. Nats so late to the party, but that might just be the timing that they need.
Surely it can't go wrong twice. Nats is going to land the shot onto Nukia, but they need to now pick their battles. Which direction will they go in? Coldamenta again drops one of the flankers, but they should know that Nats is still here. Information to be garnered. Kellogg's to support him, but it's only going to be the trade onto Coldamenta, and Shados finds the final kill. It is a messy round. It's a shaky round, but it's a round nonetheless.
I was getting a bit worried there with the ring-a-ring-a-rosy. Time starts to tick away, but still plenty.
3 flankers! Who has 3 flankers?
And, the thing was, they obviously found Defo, but they knew that Nats was there because he got a kill earlier. If it had been the other way around, they might have gotten caught by that third flanker as well. That was insane. I really don't think they expected Redgar to be there. It looked like just god-tier reactions by Coldamenta. And even though he does such a good job at holding down that flank, he ends up falling in the end. Great recovery by Shados, but a fumbled round from Gambit that nearly cost them heavily.
Yeah, it's a weird one because they win the round off what was They're thrifty.
Yeah.
So it's good, but at the same time, in the manner that they won it, it definitely wasn't as clean as it could have been with the 2 opening frags that they found. I think maybe they're realizing that this has been a bit more shaky than they would have liked. So they're going
and fall into the trap of letting G2 have too much space. Because so far, I have to say, a lot of their attack rounds have looked very good. I liked what they did in particular on that A push, where they wanted to go, decided to fall back, and bait out the rotations to B, and then move back into A when it's that little bit easier. They've been conscious of where Chronicle might be, even without seeing him, assuming that he'll be on the A site. Looks like G2 have a pretty good read on Gambit's defense, at least to start things out.
Both teams sending out the Tigers early. I believe they've spotted the lurk. Actually, I was going to say just spotted the lurk of Avovo. They've actually killed him in the first few seconds. Again, these aggressive pushes coming out of Defo. And because they've lost so much control, I wonder if G2 might have to just pick up the pace.
They don't seem to be, though. And that play around middle by Coldamenta, I have my eyes on. These guys are playing more conventional, pushing towards the site, trying to see space, but I want to see what's Coldamenta going to be doing as the round goes on, and with 2 kills in their hands. I mean, now that question is null and void. They've got the site and the plant. I was expecting much more resistance out of Gambit there, and now we come into a 3v4 retake for the defensive side, and still Coldamenta sitting down in mid, waiting to catch the rotations.
Yeah, the fact is, even if he sees absolutely nothing, it lets the remaining players know that there can't really be much coming from behind. Nice shot from Defo. This operator has been one of the saving graces that he's had so far. And the peek out from Nuka is going to meet the same fate. It's now starting to fall apart a little bit for G2.
Oh, the one thing they had was Coldamenta's position being unknown, but in goes that ultimate from Cypher, the neural theft, revealing him, and they'll shut him down immediately. The flash out does absolutely nothing for Mixwell, and just in the nick of time, they will get the defuse. Another 1 round for Gambit, and that one actually started quite poorly, considering they lose the A site so easily, but that retake, you have to look at Defo for that, was on point.
He's not really been missing a beat so far. I think the only rounds that we've really seen them win, they've just gone to the other side. Or they killed him on the flank once after the plant had already gone in. It is still a little bit worrying for me, though. Like, I'm looking at this from Gambit's perspective and saying, if it takes Defo getting 4 kills in one of the round, 3 kills on a retake in another round, they're not convincing. And their A-site hold has been really weak. That round was Kellogg's just walking in. They didn't do anything else. He just went, all right, go on, lads. Just stroll into the site. Like, too easy.
You saw now Gambit are fired up. So shade us with the big let's go right after they win that round. Now they're looking for a little bit more. And a mid-split very quickly upping the pace. G2 looking at the B side for what feels like the first time in an early round. And they are not finding any success. Redgar shutting them down. And Nats sitting in mid, holding that control, is ready to take a fight. But he does not even need to support his teammate. Redgar is just doing it all, and although he'll fall in the end, Avova has a 1v3. The spike is down in middle, so he can't even pop that Viper's Pit to try and maintain control. Instead, he has to push right into this Gambit hold.
Yeah, this looks like an impossibility. He has his own screen, maybe trying to bait them into the fact that he's pushing from a different angle, trying to section off some of these spots, but Defo is just lasered in on the exact position he's going to be going. It's just horrible. He's got the poison orb, again, maybe expecting him to split through mid, but they're watching this. They're ready for this. Part of over still connects the shot. A 1v4 turn 2. It's now possible for him to bring something back here.
The snakebite down's actually going to stop them from peeking pretty much entirely. And if he gets to the site and puts down that ultimate, it could be scary. The wall up, but it's not in time. Nats shuts him down on the cross, and 4 will be found from Gambit. These rounds are coming pretty close. They're still getting them on the board, and there's a certain point where it just doesn't matter anymore for G2. They've got to start to find some success, especially considering how successful, not this one, but some of the other early rounds have been.
I do really like the screen that's being placed as well on the B side. Like, it has a multitude of uses. One of them is able to section off that mid split, so that you're either going to have the players peeking in from mid.
Because it's time to figure out how you want to play and how to take that control yourself.
Yeah, again, I think that maybe a little bit of a throw-in round for G2 to test the waters on the B side a bit. They don't want the A side to get too overly stacked and complacent after they've gone in that direction for a lot of the time. But I do think the A site's definitely been a little more vulnerable now. Although there's a weapon missing, at least you can see on the scoreboard, it's not going to be for long. Right? This A shop orb is one that it's pretty easy for the attackers to get.
It normally is, yeah. I see Shados, though, sat outside A, possibly ready to pop a flash around there, and by the looks of it, he was going to put in his Tiger. to try and catch them. No, a flash, in fact, set to come around. He knows now they're going for the orb, and unfortunately, it was Kellogg's able to dash away. Coldamenta covering, and they've got their orb, but they've also got a pick to start the round off. That is fantastic for G2.
I felt like you had to do that as a team. Like, it just, the time it takes for you to flash and peek, there's already somebody waiting on the off angle, avoiding it smart from Coldamenta, and he's already managed to find a second opener. Nats actually wins that, Joel. It looked like he was dead for sure, and well, speaking of another player who's dead for sure.
That lurked absolutely fantastic. We know him for this when it comes to Viper. Strange to see it on an agent like Sky, but I love it. Was that a connection?
No, he got killed for a minute, I think. Oh, actually, no, it was from Avova.
Looked pretty.
He didn't get an assist, so I'm going to go off the assist.
Poor guy. Either way, Nats on 30 HP after that mid-fight we saw earlier. The only player to find a kill in this round, and we said that G2 needed to figure out their attack. They got to decide exactly how they wanted to approach it. And to be honest, right here, I don't think they did anything special. They held for aggression coming out of A main, and they got two players, both Defo and Shados, just running and playing right into their hands.
Yeah, I think a lot of that, again, comes off. I would much rather see that sort of play come out from a couple of players, so you can have the setup flash rather than trying to do it yourself. I think the other thing as well is both teams just read into that, like, okay, if they're going to be going for an orb, I'm going to try and stop them, and if we know we're going for an orb, they know we're going for an orb, so I'm also going to try and counter them. And then it goes down a million different roads, and you have a book that's 4,000 pages long.
Yeah, I've seen them. I've seen some of these strat books. They run
Alliance
pretty
only
deep.
have one of a couple of pages, though, right?
Yeah, we just had sticky notes.
Try not to lose 1v4.
Yeah. Don't let Logan kill 4 of you with a sheriff. That was actually the only thing I wrote down, and it didn't work, unfortunately. No. Yeah.
Tried your best.
I really did. And that A side hold's been going, it's kind of shaky. I think Chronicle's having a pretty tough time to start things out. And we look again, no surprise, G2 are looking to pressure out the A side, but they're spreading out into a default. And this is a big change on what we've seen from some of the rounds previously, where they were very much centered around an aggressive start to the rounds. That Hunter's Fury popped out, actually connects. Nuki is down on 70 HP. That's going to be a nice start, but of course, if he does get a kill, he can heal right back up, or even an assist.
Starting to re-aggress towards this A site once again. The early aggression on B not really garnering too much. G2 do well to try and deny it, and now there's a counter of the Hunter's Fury. It's awkward. Chronicle's actually still alive in the back of that. A little bit unsure how he's managed to survive, but the timing of that, he gets 2 kills off the back. Sure, he's traded out, but he was so low on HP, I don't think he'll care at all.
We talked about him having a rough time. He certainly did in this round. Oh, look at that push coming up from Redgar. Great timing and a great kill coming out of the man himself. Sure, Shados falls, but a 3v1 spike down, and Coldamenta with it all to do. A big clutch needed, and Nats, again on the flank, is the one to close that out. I mean, you gotta look at Chronicle there and say there's no way he should have gotten away with that. He got tagged up by a drone, then he got Hunter's Fury that plays inside his orb, picks it up for that little bit of extra advantage, right? You don't wait for the decay or the orb to disappear. You pull it up, it goes pretty quickly, and you get that peeker's advantage and the element of surprise, which, well, certainly worked out that time.
That's something I know about both. I think it was Bala and Sean have been talking about throughout, is that Gambit are the team that do that the most.
For sure.
Like utilizing their own orb to give you that slight split-second advantage of seeing the other person. And, well, that was gross. I don't think that should be allowed. You should be able to do that. But you know what? I enjoy it.
Yeah, big shout out to Chronicle for that one. Putting on a show on the A site and making G2 second guess whether or not that A site is really a weakness. Nats opening this one up. That is an aggressive mid-fight. He just took out, well, from exactly where we're seeing him, right? But Nuki is up close, and Nats is ready. Now he's going to have all the information on where G2 are going, and these B-site players, Chronicle in particular, the man who won out that previous round, is going to completely stop them with this Viper utility.
Yeah, this is the problem. Once the openers go Gambit's way, it becomes a lot more difficult. Nats is just so gross, just repositioning and catching both players. He's gonna go for the ace, he hits the thing! Oh, that's heartbreaking. Almost the perfect round from Nats, but you know what? I think his teammates will clean that one up quite easily.
Yeah, 10 HP left on the guy. It's pretty reasonable. Well done to Nats here. And look at this fight I'm talking about. It's so nasty. They saw the poison orb. I mean, it's their own one, right? They put it down. They must have known there was a gap in it, but they didn't quite expect that Nats would be swinging out wide like that, showing them that he is not scared to take those aggressive fights. We know Gambit as a slow team on the attack, but oddly enough on the defense, they seem to be a much more aggressive team.
Well, yeah, at least on this map in particular. Like, a lot of the time we do talk about Nats, especially being very ratty. Like, he's like almost hunkered down in the site, but
we had
on
that
this map,
breakdown the other day where he sat still for a minute inside a Viper's pit.
But now, very aggressive. Now, we do have Kellogg's back on his Marshall, but it hasn't started quite the way they would have liked, and Shados doesn't look like he wants to give them any space at all. The flash is perfect, though. Mixwell going to be able to pick off one. They've had some trouble in these anti-eco rounds, so Gambit have to be a little bit careful here not to get overzealous.
Mixwell doesn't manage to recover that weapon. It's a little bit too far out for him to risk it.
Welcome to my world.
Viper's pit.
Spike planted.
Up on the side. Still doesn't actually let them get over towards that weapon, but they'll be facing out behind it. Kellogg suffering a little bit of damage. He'll fall back in, and look at this. They're just spraying away. Gambit looking to section them off completely. Gonna have the Trailblazer put through, looking for them inside that pit, but look at where Kellogg's is. He's a great angle, but a whiffed shot. Nats finishes him off. Avova and Mixwell waiting for these players to push on in. They'll take the fight on their terms, but Gambit will come out on top. 4 players alive coming into the final round of the half. They're looking pretty strong on this defense.
Yeah, it was starting off a lot shakier than what we've seen. As I said, that A site looked a bit rough, and in this round in particular, you do have to say that it was mostly just pistols coming in for G2. So it's not the end of the world, but it's the way that they've started to take map control away from their opponents that has started to excite me a little bit. As said, Nats starting to take fights into middle. You've seen Defo get aggressive all around the map. And now for G2, as said, I expect Gambit to be better on the attack, which is not something I'll say very often. So I'm a bit worried now for G2.
Yeah, we can say it about Gambit on a couple of maps for sure, but yeah, when it comes to Breeze, G2, remember, they won that second round. And since then, things have been a little bit shaky because Gambit start to take fights on their own terms. They start to play much more aggressive. And they've slotted out a couple of players here. The updraft just about saves Defo. 20 HP. With an operator, he's still going to be very dangerous. That wall is going to be coming down fairly soon. Kellogg's wants an advanced position for when it does fall. Flash through the peak after. I love that free control, but Redgar's conscious of it. He's very worried about a player already being close, and as Kellogg's comes out, is Redgar ready for this fight? Seemed to be, but Kellogg's gets the better of him. 2v3. Oh, and he goes back through with the man advantage. That was a bit ludicrous. And now that could cost G2 heavily.
Trying to clear out some of these backlines, positions. The Tiger will leave. Chronicle tagged. Can't quite run away, and now it's left all onto Defo. 7 HP to try and pull off this clutch. A 1 versus 2, and the time is ticking. He has to go now. It's the last round. There's no value of keeping that operator anymore, and I don't think he stands a chance in hell. One player may be dropped, but he does not know where Avova lies, and he does not have the time. It'll be a 5th round on the board for G2, dragging things back a little bit, but still a solid half for Gambit.
Yeah, I think Gambit are going to be pretty happy with their defense, and this is the worry, right? G2 decided to start there. Now we move into the second half where I feel like Gambit are going to be so much more comfortable. You said it as well earlier, Tom, and they're firing on all cylinders. We're seeing Defo start out the map in spectacular fashion, but even when Chronicle was stumbling towards the beginning, he really started to find his stride. Let's throw things over to the desk to get their opinions here before we jump into half number 2. Well, I'm sure there's plenty yet to be seen, even just here on this map. Well, they've had a little bit of time to chill out, though. Just like that Teddy. Well, he's having a good time.
You're obsessed with all this, aren't you?
They're just so cute. They're so cute.
I feel like everybody loves the little Easter eggs of them just hiding around the map.
Get the tea parties. Yeah.
It's all good, but we're back into the pistol. It's serious stuff here for G2, looking to try and make a comeback on their opponent's map choice. They got Icebox coming up next, and Gambit almost managed to catch them off guard again. A similar start, though. 4 players kicking it off on the B site. Only 1 on A for G2. And that 1 player about to come under pressure.
Yeah, this is going to be a big challenge for Avova, as you see, because he gets dropped immediately.
How much control they've got.
This is insane. Gambit have done practically nothing by the way of heads-up duels, and they've got the A site, they've got the plan. In fact, they look like the defenders.
I am not sure if they'll be able to find a way back into this one. I'm also not sure if they'll even know how close some of these players are actually going to be. Defo needs to be cleared instantly, and that's exactly what they get. But there is a second wraparound coming through even later from Redgar. Again, this duel is going to be everything, and Mixwell wins that as well. Sure, it's traded out, but now they know where these players are going to be sitting. keloqz picks off another, but Chronicle and Nats are fighting strong. It's left all onto Nuclear. He doesn't know where the remaining two are. Watches them wrap around, hits the dink onto the first, at least leaving him low, but the time ticking far too low. Chronicle, all he has to do is stay alive here, but I don't think he's got enough time.
Close.
It's going to be close, but it isn't enough.
No, just a second away, and indeed 1.09 to be exact. That's going to be another round on the board for Gambit, winning out the pistol. But remember, the second round didn't exactly go their way. The problem is this time around G2 are on the defense, and things are about to get much more difficult because winning out these pistols, contrary to what we would say if this was a map like Ascent or Split, where pistols can do a lot because there's so many choke points and close range angles for you to play off of. But with a map as open as Breeze and as long range for so many of the early duels, things like mid control, for example, you pretty much have to give up, and those are such valuable avenues for Gambit to push through.
Well, they won the second round in the last. If they can win it again, it might be a good opportunity for a comeback. Nuclear is already going to hit all the footsteps. I'm loving the pace of Gambit. This is not something we're particularly used to, but Mixwell is already going to find the first shot. Defo looking to wrap around, but it'll be Chronicle to find the kill, evening things up once again and guaranteeing the afterplant. And of course, Nats, he's on the other side of that.
Oh yeah, he is on a late flank, let's just say that. That's going to completely catch G2 by surprise. Chronicle picking up one right away. They're picking off, and by the time Nats gets
guys,
here, the round's already over.
Don't worry, I'm coming in behind.
I'm behind them, boys, and the thing is, it really doesn't matter because he gets there when they're all dead. But where he was coming from as well, they could easily know that there could be a player there, with or without a flank. 9-5, Gambit really steaming into the lead here, and this is, remember, their map pick. Now they're on the attack where we think they're going to look that little bit more comfortable, and so far it's definitely been the case.
And they're not a bad Icebox team. Like, you look at it statistically, I think over the last few months they've been 15-4. Now, some of those have been a close game versus Crazy Raccoon. We thought they might be a little bit easier, and a loss to 100 Thieves where they were very far in the lead. So I would favor G2, but only just. So if this is a blowout from here on, well, I would be a little bit worried for them.
Now, we talked about the map pool, and the desk said that they think this looks to be Gambit's, right? And they won out the veto, and certainly with this surprise pick, let's see what G2 have in store. This is a round they desperately want, but they've lost Nuclear right away. The shot not quite going to connect. Mixwell spotted out, will be traded. keloqz does well to find one. That flank cut off completely. Shados now all alone, the bonus round, but he's managed to get his teammates Vandal as he moves around the left side. The first kill goes his way, but keloqz is that little bit too quick. He starts with a whiffed shot, but he finishes with 3 kills, and G2 find a 6th.
Yeah, it seems like they're going to need him, because even in this round where for the majority it was going to be more of a bonus coming out of the side of Gambit, they almost lose it. Like, Shados able to get himself a rifle at the end and bringing it down to just one player. Now you look at the buys that are going to be coming up. Well, there's an operator on Defo's side, so it's not like he's got any cash missing at all. And on the other side of things, keloqz has actually had to give over his operator just so the Mixwell will actually have a weapon.
Yeah, it makes sense when he's got the Blade Storm, but obviously that's going to remove a lot of the possibilities for taking those more aggressive operator duels. Let's see what keloqz wants to do with this Blade Storm. You see him inside the hall right now. Shados picking up the Seekers. They can work with those in the later stages. Chronicle's already spotted out keloqz, knows that he's playing around this area. With a minute 15 on the clock, Gambit, they don't want to just run in blind. They're going to slow it down.
Already. A minute gone.
I've got your trail.
They're actually going to pop themselves the Seekers. Give at least a little bit of information over if anybody was actually going to be close by. Obviously, with weaker weaponry currently available, they might have tried to take some more aggressive positions. They're going to follow this up. Avova has to do an awful lot here. Sat at the back, and he gets absolutely nothing. Nuka and keloqz, though, have found a killer piece.
Nice shot out of keloqz. Quick return, though. Gambit right back in the fight. The spike is down, but it can be recovered. There's no one close by to punish for the side of G2. And as Gambit make those rotates in, you can see Redgar is going to be a little late to the fight. You've got a 1v1 brewing between Cole Dementa and Shados. It's whether this fight is found soon, because there's 15 seconds left and Shados needs to cross over. He's thinking about doing it with a flash. Instead, he just goes straight in for the peek.
10 seconds left.
They'll get this plant in just in time. The recon to catch him as he fades out is taken down by Redgar, but now on 4 HP. He's the only hope of the team. The Vandal in his hand, and he connects the instant headshot, but Mixwell, perfect flash to close out the round. 7 found for G2. These rounds have been close, but ultimately they're going the defense's way, and G2 are right back in the game.
Yeah, and this is when now Gambit will actually have some troubles of their own when it comes to the weaponry and the credits that they'll have going into the next round. They are, however, in the same spot we saw previously from G2, where they are one off the Blade Storm. So fighting for one of those early orbs is not going to be too much of a problem for them. Although this round was close, I expect this one to be a little bit further into their favor. Now, as said, they can't take this one lightly. In fact, there's even maybe some heavier investments coming in from Gambit that you might have expected.
Yeah, to be honest, I was looking at, in my head at least, a pretty low buy out of Gambit, nothing really to play with, and instead 3 of their players have weapons. I'm looking at Chronicle, especially. The Marshal on him, very strange over on that attack side, especially with the value that can be brought when you look at the Viper wall, but it's only going to be used to fake out in the early round, putting it down on A to try and pressure them. And if they find this pick onto Avova, they'll have the ability to blitz in quickly and find a very, very weak B site. Nats as well. Look at the patience. He was waiting for Nuki, but he turns at the wrong moment. Still manages to get the first bullet off, but he receives the one to the head, and Nuki keeps on firing. That's a great hold out of G2 already. Avova still yet to really do anything on the backside as the team runs away. Flank out of Redgar caught. It's only a classic, so even with the damage, he's going to get shut down. And well, there's not really a lot of opportunities. Even the tag just instantly returned on the stronger weapons for G2 reigning supreme.
Yeah, 1 versus 5. After the last couple of rounds that G2 have had, this is pretty big for them if they can win it flawlessly, even though there will be a purchase in the next round for Gambit. It will give them a little bit of wiggle room on the defensive side, and Yuke, you know what, he's popping off. A Prime Gaming flawless round. Finance is there, and he even got his Empress online.
Not too shabby. No, he had that on pretty quickly as well, because he was just dominating in those early fights. And look at this. It's not often that Nats gets the first bullet, and you get to return fire.
Yeah, he also picks up the Blade Storm as well. And that was one of the major threats. Now, these early rounds, they've been close. But for Gambit, as said, we know that sometimes the pressure can get to them. They've now had opportunities to, well, basically put them up to 10, 11, maybe more.
Yep.
So we'll see if it starts to affect them a little bit. It also means that we're going to see the operator out. This time, Nuke, he's not going to get anything done.
Yeah, big shutdown in the early round out of Gambit. We know their defaulty play, and I mean, it was only the first couple of seconds, so of course, they're still holding down. The same thing is true of the entirety of the map. Cypher Utility holding for the A push. Look at just how much control Nats is garnering all by himself. He's holding down basically half of the map, at least half of the avenues that they have to aggress on, if not more. While the rest of the team tries to work up through middle. Pressure in onto that B side. Still no intention of where they want to go, and they just keep on finding picks.
Defo is on one today. Like, land Defo just seems like a completely different beast, and Avova, there's no chance. Absolutely none. They were waiting patiently. The Gambit default strikes once again and leaves. Just a couple left. That'll be an ultimate orb coming in at least.
No, he started to run.
Oh, it's a little bit awkward, but luckily Redgar's there to help out his buddy.
I guess they were a little worried maybe that was Kellogg's with the operator, right? So they try to jump peek around the corner. Doesn't really punish them in the end. And this operator will just look to save on the back of the B site, but it's unlikely they allow that. And now they've spotted him as well. This gets so much more dangerous. Nats is already in their spawn. He's just running at him, knife out. Kellogg's knows that he's up close, so that's a free frag. But how much more can he get? He needs to find so many kills if he wants this weapon for the next round. The Cloudburst used to isolate some angles. This is something Kellogg's does so damn well. But in the end, doesn't look like he gets away with it. Double digits hit for Gambit. And that was, I mean, there were a couple of mixed weapons there for G2, so I understand why they get that little bit more aggressive and try to force the early fights. Unfortunately, they run right into Gambit, who are waiting with open arms.
Yeah, Defo He was like this on the defensive side as well.
Enemy remaining.
Having a superb performance in a map where they desperately need it, it seems. And as you mentioned, a few weaker weapons here and there, but this is now the credit spent. For G2, they need to win this round, otherwise we could be seeing this map now slip out of control. And I don't think it's been particularly close in a lot of the rounds. They got off to at least a little bit of a hot streak, but Gambit, so far, have looked like the better side. And we're going to see this early aggression into mid, the drone to clear out some positioning, and Nats just making sure there's nobody peeking, but it's currently being held by Coldamenta, and he'll win that duel.
Yes, he will. Nat's falling right away. So much utility removed from Gambit, and we know how much they rely on him holding down map control. Like, the A side is now completely open for aggressive plays, so Gambit have to keep that in mind when it comes to this late stage of the round. And it looks like, again, they'll look with favor towards the B side. G2 playing complete retake on B. And this Viper wall, we've seen it a couple of times in EMEA. This is when you just do not want to play the site, and you want to section out their retakes. Yeah,
it means there's going to have to be some more aggressive positions held by Gambit if they do get into an afterplant. And we're actually going to see Hunter's Fury pop. They're trying to clear out the back corner, but there's nobody there, and Defo's actually caught, looking to try and peek into the spawn. A 5 versus 3 afterplant is a really good spot for G2 to be in, so it's fine that they're going to get the spike down. Now this hold is going to be really, really tough for Gambit.
Yeah, not only with the man disadvantages, but the utility in play for G2. Mixwell up behind, won't be able to catch them walking through elbow. This could be a big flaw now for G2. They're making a lot of noise in the connector. Gambit have the perfect timing on the flank. All they need is the player on site to stay alive, and he has done that. Chronicle picks up one. He goes out for more. There's the trade, and they're not ready for a second player. Shados, 1 versus 2, but the spike is not planted for him. He needs to win the first, and he does indeed. Avova sticking it all the way. Will he get there in time? It doesn't matter. Avova comes off it to take the duel, and that is 9 rounds for G2. A hard-fought retake, though. They had everything set up for them, but Gambit adapted to that perfectly.
Can they win a round with more than one player? That's now the last 3 that we've seen onto the board for G2, coming down to these solo clutch situations. This map could be over. Gambit could have won it by now, but G2 are just clinging to life in these last few scenarios, and this was just ridiculously close. I don't think that Shados was expecting him just to stick it all the way through, and, well, he almost just defused it right in front of him. And he was the only one who had any vision onto the spike as well, which just made it that little bit more difficult. Still, though, 10-9. Crunch time again for either side. Economy hasn't been built up. The issue now, though, for Gambit is their weaponry is also a little bit weaker.
Interesting. Evolva's put the wall down from the B side. A lot of players will put it down from the connector, so it doesn't go out into mid like this, which can obviously be a little bit problematic in holding that down, holding the longer range angles. The Seekers won't really do much. This is fast. This is incredibly fast out of Gambit. Yeah, they're on this site as we speak, and none of G2 are.
Yeah, it looks like the same sort of retake setup. Rekka is stuck in, he's weaving, he's trying to avoid the final tag, and he's not going to be able to. Again, an advantage in this retake for G2 as they make their move.
Great call on the Hunter's Fury. They knew exactly where that plant was going to be coming in. Shock darts to the backside, tickling them up. But here's the man we talked about before. Nat's on the flank. He can pick up a weapon. He knows exactly where they are, running right on in. Taking down 2, looking for the final player up behind him. And that duel goes their way nicely. Nukia last alive, but he's pulled it into a 1v1. Defo giving away his position on the backside. Nukia knows exactly where he is, but he's got to take him down soon. The time is ticking away. The jump, right-click works out, but the round is not his. Nukia might even fall to the spike in the end. That's a devastating round, really, considering how things play out, and you have to give it to Nats there. We said they took him down in the previous round, and that's really what crippled Gambit's ability in those retakes. They still made a damn good try of it, but right there, he was anything but absent.
I don't know how he does it so often. That's the thing that's just mind-blowing for me. Like, the fact is, in the majority of cases, they're going to know exactly where he is, and they still can't do anything about it. Another interesting point, they used Seekers that round, and they still didn't know he was there.
Yeah. just the position of these Gambit players wasn't dragging him over. I have to say, you know, it really perplexes me how he gets 3 kills and still looks upset with himself for not finding the fourth. It's like, oh, sorry guys, I whiffed, I messed up. It's like, dude.
I only got 3 kills with a Spectre.
You just saved the whole round with a Spectre. You're looking upset with yourself. 11-9, Gambit definitely want to push the A side. Look at this. The amount of control kept by Nats. It amazes me every single time, the patience of this man. And Gambit have split right up through the halls. They are behind G2 and ready to make an incredible crunch in onto this site. G2 have pushed back out to maintain mid control. Oh no. There we go.
Not the best of trades. It's still a horrible spot for Kellogg's to be in, and eventually he's going to walk into the second player who'd come round from behind. What's that? Okay, it was Rengar getting the kill. I was about to say, that's probably the best distraction I've ever seen, and it was definitely an accident.
Just dashes straight into his face. Yeah, I think it was a little late hitting his A or his DP on that.
Ability.
Oh, man. Well, Gambit seemed to be closing this one out. Obviously, G2 only had the pistols, content to play for OT. Good attempt made by them. Decent damage done. They dropped Shados. They almost dealt with Defo. But that split, it was just too much control given up. The fact that Gambit walked through halls is almost a more perplexing thing, and I think G2 assumed that that wouldn't be the case because, Tom, they've got pistols. No one pushes halls against pistols. It's literally the only place that offers multiple close-range angles, and Gambit, of course, did it.
The only thing I will say is some of the positions from the players on G2, I think they did know it was a possibility. Because, like, Kellogg's was playing front pyramids. You don't play front pyramids unless you know they can be behind you. It doesn't make any sense.
For sure, yeah, they knew.
Also had a lot of people pushing out through mid. So it's like, they knew it was a possibility, but then when it came down to it, they still got owned by it anyway, because it's just too much control. The issue is, of course, the next map is Icebox, which G2 have been fantastic on, but Gambit are also pretty good at.
We talked about the pressure that's on these players over on the desk. The fact that the win for G2 means quite a lot. They would desperately like to be going to Champions, and if they find it here, their points line up for that possibility, or indeed reality. A little bit more pressure on them than in any of the other games where they came in not as the favorites. Of course, 4th seed in EMEA. They weren't expected to beat Sentinels. They weren't expected to beat a lot of the teams that they played against. So, of course, it's a very different environment when you're in this stage, up against it. Well, I mean, you're not countrymen, but you're regionmen.
Regionmen, the classic term.
Hey, if countrymen's a thing, so is regionmen now.
Well, the classic slow round nuke here. The timing is going to be perfect! He's caught in the drone and Chronicle isn't working! He couldn't have found better timing than that in any other possibility. Kellogg's, though, is under pressure. He needs some support, or maybe not. Isolating the Jaws! Just 4 HP remaining, but that will be enough.
Yeah, Nat's left alone. He somehow still manages to get a flank play. Yeah, go on, shoot your arrow out. Yeah, good luck. But now it's a 1v4. And even with Kellogg slow, that operator just needs the 1 bullet. Turning from the flash doesn't help all too much when Kellogg has teammates to help him, and the aim of a god. 12-10. G2 just 2 away from OT on Gambit's map pick, but it's not, I mean, look at Nats, 25-15 right now. This guy is showing up on the Cypher, and it's not just that. It's not just the ability he comes in with when it comes to dueling. It's also the control that he's constantly holding for his team.
This was gross. Pressured from both angles, peeks through the smokes and still landing the shots, repositioning for every battle, and the slight shoulder peeks just to try and bait players into a shot, even when he's on only 4 HP. Incredible round from Kellogg's, and he's starting to get that a little bit more confident. The Blade Storm thrown in for Defo, and they're going to go for a fast push into B once again.
Oh, they definitely are. Kellogg's is here waiting for them, though. Hunter's Fury deployed to Vova. Good to get 1 kill, but he'll be taken down right after. Quick trade by Kellogg's. And he's actually repositioning. They will never expect him to be here, surely. As he even closes in the distance, that operator going in for the aggressive pick.
No.
But Chronicle is a little bit too quick. 3v3. Numbers evened up. You have to ask yourself, was that aggression necessary out of G2? They might just pay for that mistake. I'm looking at this, though.
Heard it.
Same position as the previous round, and he gets the same result.
Oh, and Exo's on the edge. He could end it here, but Shados expects the corner. It goes back to a 2v2. And now Coldamenta is actually alone. They know that he's still here. Now they're going to plant within it. The shock darts will do at least a little bit of damage, tickling them up. But here come the Seekers. They know that there's still a player within the site and the rotation's coming through. This allows them to take some control on the flank. And we'll now see that sneak up from Shados.
Shados is so nasty. That wall up, Nukia's going to have to push right through it. And just, oh, he's going to be spotted. Great angle from Chronicle. And he's just buying time at this stage. Shados now coming around to play this together. They drop the pit and close it out. 3 kills from Chronicle. As he was going in with the Wolf of Wall Street chest beat. I love it. They're ready to go on to Icebox here. And no doubt, G2 will feel a little bit more comfortable here than going back on Breeze.
Yeah, they're switching up over onto the Reyna as well for Nukia is going to make things that little bit more exciting, means he can be a little bit more reckless, more aggressive, kicking it off on that defensive side. For now, though, well, it's the counter Reyna who's going to be taking the charge.
Look at Kellogg's all the way pushed down middle. He has got these guys completely sectioned in. Now, they don't know that it's going to be a B hit, but they've gambled there with the 3 players and a bit of a passive mid support hold. With a minute left on the clock, Gambit have already closed in the distance. They're going to pop this wall down to look for a much more aggressive plant than what we normally see out of these teams. In fact, the updraft out of Defo is going to give good position, but Redgar falls way up behind. G2 having a flurry of frags going their way, but Gambit won't let it slip away all that easy, and Chronicle has snuck right up to the door. He is ready to catch them as they come on through mid.
Oh, Nukia is going to go above him, though. Now, will he actually check this corner? That's the real question. Kellogg, he's going to find the spike. That buys extra time for Nukia to move, but he doesn't know that there's a man right behind him, but they've almost passed like ships in the night. But Chronicle will be able to close out the round. It's Gambit to get themselves yet another pistol.
Big play by Gambit, now 1-0 up. I have to say, at this point, G2, they're going to want to bounce right back. Now, I'm not saying they're going to go in for a force buy coming into round 2, but I'm expecting a little bit of something different, bit of aggression out of them, perhaps. And I'm looking at it, it doesn't really look like that, actually. Maybe it's just going to be a default play. I'm surprised. I want to see if have they invested anything?
No.
Oh, just classics. All right, so they're playing kind of a default. There we go, grouping up on A. So there's going to be a little bit of A aggro with a solo B hold using the Viper wall.
Denied the early aggression. Kellogg's trying to get something done with the 1 Sheriff that they currently have in play. But for now, well, we've got the lull in the round. This is the Gambit attack side. What did we expect? There's still going to be another 40 seconds before they really have to do anything, just waiting patiently, making sure they don't make any mistakes in these sort of rounds. Now, for someone like Kellogg's, that extra investment is worth it. If he can get himself a few extra kills, put himself in a position closer to that Blade Storm, he becomes hell of a lot more deadly in some of these future buy rounds. For now, though, Avova just trying to prod and probe, seeing if anybody's making a move, but, well, they're just about starting to move, Mitch.
Starting to make their way forward. Oh, Avova inside the orb. He hasn't been spotted, but he'll be taken down so easily with the decay. Looks like they want to push up on A, getting nice and close. Nukia falls, and I mean, look, Kellogg's gets the 1 kill. 1 more here would be fantastic for G2. Have lost Kellogg's. They know that Coldamenta is up top. Over on the Gambit side, very little way for very little room for error, rather.
30 seconds left.
If Mixwell can drop another one here, it's already a successful round. The worry, though, is that Shados already has his Empress online, and although with most weapons, like, you wouldn't really be too worried, like it's not going to be the most impactful ultimate in the world. Yeah. When you go into a bonus round with a Spectre, I start to worry a little bit more. He can be very aggressive. The weapons fire rate gets even higher than it already is, and he heals up and escapes after every single duel.
Yeah, he's been doing pretty well for himself. Starting this one out. Oh, okay. Never mind.
Never mind, it's not a Spectre anymore.
That's a slightly better Spectre, isn't it? Vandal to play with. Now that's something else. And look at Gambit, 2-0 up. This round would mean so much for them. And on the attack side, they can set the pace with this Vandal, look to pick it up if it goes down. We're going to keep an eye on Shados for this early fight. Because you can see this aggression coming out of Nukia. He's gone up on top, on the pipes, and Shados is looking to shut him down, looking for an angle onto some of these players. Of course, no info on exactly where they are. Now he's starting to hear them, actually. With the utility put out and the drone going forward, this is a good opportunity for Gambit to maybe find a pick. Counter-util, keeping them at bay for now, though.
Yeah, I like the fact that they've also deep-walled into mid. We know how much shenanigans Nats likes to get up to, and speaking of shenanigans, he's trying to push a probe on the B side, make some space for the rest of his team. Kellogg's has got to get the timing right here. If he misses the move, that could be the end of the round, and I almost wonder if his teammates are going to come true and try and bait a little bit for him here. Give him that extra space while Kellogg's is fighting on the other side.
I think that's it. Just kind of act like they don't know what's going on. They don't know that Kellogg's is around this area. Well, they're actually
maybe they actually
back.
don't know.
Yeah, looks like it. Kellogg's backing off, though, still. They have managed to get an ult orb over on the Gambit side. Shut down to Defo. Little bit more, maybe. But that's Spectre picking up the frag. This sells a fake completely. They've used their ice wall. Multiple players were spotted, and now the pressure is on. Nukian needs to make a big hold as his teammates rotate around to help him. If he's caught up on top, he will be putting his team in a pretty rough position because he's now fallen, and Mixwell trying to fight his way back in. Gets lit so heavy, he can't even try to make that fight.
He does manage to escape, though. I believe that might be some extra HP given over via Vova. The only problem is that Redgar's also found that remaining player looking to try and push through. Shados above, he's spotted out of over, he's gonna jump almost directly onto his head, going for the Goomba stop and leaving Mixwell to try and save this. It's a bonus round victory for Gambit, another stellar half to this map.
Yeah, that was gorgeous as well, just drop shotting him right up behind Shados, 8-1. And kicking it off with a 3-0 start, like you said, Tom, that is not ideal. This is a round where damage, 3 kills, for example, would have been pretty much enough for Gambit. They would have been happy, especially because the ult they did commit was the Empress. It's not the biggest of deals to commit that and lose out on the round, especially when you've got Spectres. But now G2 are left on pistols, and this should be a stellar start to Gambit's attack.
Yeah, they have a couple of ultimates being close to being online. I think Mixwell's just going to use his poison orb early to get himself the Viper's Pit. It makes this at least a little bit different. Now, I think they were going to try and 3-man fight for the other one at the same time, but that's not exactly gone to plan. They're getting slaughtered, leaving Kellogg's alone, and that is a beautiful hold coming out from that attacking side to make sure that they get nothing from it. Now, the rotations come in, unfortunately, not really in a spot where the ultimate is now worth using.
Yeah, that wall's going to be put down as well, so any sort of spam potential of Vova had completely out of the question. And a ranged fight. Not going to be ideal for Mixwell. He's not putting his wall down. For a moment he thought about it, was going to just push up, but he goes for the fights, just heads up and gets nothing done. 4-0 and a prime gaming flawless coming out of Gambit. I mean, that's going to be a little bit tough for G2, not just because they're now 4-0 down, that's obviously recoverable, but it's the fact that Gambit have so much money built up.
Yeah, the worry as well is that Shados, I feel like, especially while he's on the Reyna, has been a little bit hit and miss. He's had some great maps, he's had some very quiet ones, and a lot of the time he's the difference maker. He's got 10 kills already, Mitch. We're going into round 5. Like, if he could somehow keep up this pace, well, we could be looking at the semi-final over within the next 10 minutes.
That's a pretty ridiculous thought, actually, now that you say it that way. Yeah, a lot of us came in saying that Gambit were going to be our saviors for EMEA Valorant, and G2 sure did put on one hell of a show up against Sentinels. They really won our hearts in that one, so this series up in the air when you think about who should be walking away with it. Well, as we're seeing right now, Gambit looking like the much stronger team in these formative rounds, already up a map and up a man advantage as well. Nats creeping through that Viper's Pit, and he's walked right by Mixwell.
This could go one of two ways. If they don't check for Mixwell and he gets a couple of kills, he gives them a way back into the round. If he somehow spots Nats, it gives them a way back into the round. Instead, it just comes out to this moment, and oh, they've seen him, but he still manages to come out with 3! Ridiculous from Mixwell, leaving just Nats. He thought he'd given his team a free pass in towards the A site. Instead, he sent them to their death.
We thought Nats had snuck by Mixwell. It turns out it was the other way around. Nats now having to clutch this one out. No idea where Mixwell is, and the snake bite not quite clearing the angle. He's about to run to site, reloading, and Mixwell completely whiffs. Nats really clutches it out. 3 kills, 5 rounds. There seems to be no way for G2 to get off the starting point. This is absolutely ridiculous. And Nats was quiet up to this point. He had a great first map. And what a round to kickstart him on Icebox.
You'll never see a round like this ever again. Ever again. That just doesn't, it makes no sense. He was reloading as he peeked Mixwell. I can't believe what we've just witnessed. Get me out. Get me out.
How is he not? Look at his face. Look, Shados is screaming and Nats is like, well, that's another round for me. Yep. 5-0, boys. That's pretty good, isn't it?
Oh.
This guy is an absolute machine.
Yeah, take a time. I need one too. I need one. I'm going to sit down. The players on Gambit when they realized Mixwell was still in that corner, or was it the players on G2 when they realized that Nats was somehow past Mixwell? Because both of those things in isolation are ridiculous, but at the same time, one of the stupidest things I've ever seen.
Absolutely ludicrous. Well, I would like to shout out G2 for giving us that little tech pause. I can feel my heart rate coming down.
I did actually have a sit down, for anybody wondering.
Yeah, oh, I wish I did as well, to be honest. My legs are feeling shaky. So, we come back into it 5-0, and G2 have had some opportunities, but no ability to close them out. Already decent attack rounds building up for Gambit. G2 don't have a lot to work with in this round. Blade Storm for Kellogg's, Vandal for Mixwell, everyone else on Sheriff. Still, plenty of potential for damage to be done. It starts with Mixwell by the looks of things. Defo's holding it with an AWP, and that's going to be the rifle dropped. Look at this, but I mean, get out of here.
Such
the rattiest player I've ever seen in my life. The fact that he can, look, 2 kills, why not? Yeah, give him all of them. He's sitting in spawn, Tom. You rarely see that in a ranked game if someone's actually AFK.
I went to get a drink and there's guys walking past me.
yeah. Guys, I'm going to go to the toilet. I'll BRB. It's like, oh, look, I've cut off their flank.
3 kills. Someone drop me a gun. Someone drop me a gun.
Listen, if you're in G2's position right now, if you're 5-0 down, soon to be 6-0 by the looks of things, and that is how they cut off your flank and deal with your Blade Storm, the final remaining beacon of hope in the round after losing the Van. No. Look not again.
Look how slow Avova's walking. Oh, thank God.
Okay.
Thank God.
There is some good left in the world. I'm a big fan of Nats. We had the tweet the other day, if Nats has 1 million fans, I am one, and so on. We know how the copy pasta goes.
Did you come up with that?
I'm very happy that he's died out in this round. It's just 3 kills from spawn would be a little bit too much.
Oh, God. You could even see the way Avova was walking through there. He was like, is he still in the spawn? And that's the thing when playing up against Nats. You lose your own playstyle because you're constantly trying to work out. Yeah, it's like you're working out what he's doing, and the second that enters your mind, you've already lost.
I mean, the second that somebody said, like, Mixwell's going to be like, all right, Kellogg's, can you go for a flank this round? He's going to get PTSD immediately. Every corner's going to be checked 3 times. I mean, I don't even know.
It's like the idea, you know, the game, and that's going to annoy a lot of people in Twitch chat, but it's the second you think about the game, you've lost.
Oh, well, Tom, come on. What is this?
That's the
2010?
concept. Yeah, exactly. That is the concept with Nats. The second you think about what Nats is doing, you've already lost.
You've made many.
Oh,
that's the worst one.
Yeah, no, I could tell there's a lot of people who hate me right now, and honestly, I relish it.
Bringing me back to childhood with that one, Tom. You know what?
Well, you just lost, Vitch. You just lost.
All right, it is 6-0. Gambit certainly not having any money troubles. I kind of surprised. Small point. Did Shados just buy a rifle and Defo and Redgar are max money next round? You know, probably.
Yeah, they've also got all their ults. They're probably feeling quite confident right now.
Be honest, probably not really caring about the economy at this point, but maybe that can come back to bite them. G2 start out the round with good damage to Redgar, but still that opening pick evades them.
Kellogg's not really going to get away with anything for now. How? No, but how? How is he there? How is he there? I don't understand. How does he manage to do that? And he's gonna get the kill on Mixwell. What is this man doing?
That's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. This guy, he's defining the word flank.
It's not even a flank. I don't understand.
Just walked up behind them. It's absolutely obscene. Oh, G2, my heart goes out. You are playing Gambit's game at this point. Nats, he's even come on. Yeah, he's come up behind for the 3rd kill. He's come up behind for the 3rd kill. How has he managed to do that? 3 kills in a round. The previous one he did the same. Can somebody stop this guy? It's 7-0 for Gambit. This is G2's map pick.
Right, I know you're listening, obviously. POV demos, please. Release them, because...
How does he find this space? I could watch him play. I've watched probably hundreds of hours of Nats at this point, and I could watch hundreds more. I still wouldn't understand what goes through his brain. It's unbelievable.
Prime game and flawless, by the way, just in case anyone was.
Well, of course it is. Nats they didn't even see the dude the whole round. He's an enigma. 7-0. G2 needs something, and in this round, they're unlikely to find it. Again, they're going to be on a very low buy.
For anybody wondering, G2's map choice. Just thought I'd throw it out there.
So the positive here, Gambit chose the attack. Let's look on the bright side.
Oh god. Oh god.
Close recon this time. A little bit different than what you'll see normally. Sometimes it goes around the corner so you can spot them as they come for the ult orb. This time, Gambit want to play a more passive one because they're ensuring nobody's pushed up A. Defo shuts down the B push. Again, Kellogg's trying to go for a flank. And this is a player we know feeds off energy, feeds off momentum. We've seen him every time he makes those clutch plays. He's jumping up, he's making noise. And so far, whenever he tries to move off the B side, he is shut down, whether it's by Nats AFK in spawn or by Defo's operator now. And look, they're still just waiting. This is a textbook Gambit round, and G2, they're 7 rounds behind. They're getting a little bit antsy. They've got weaker weapons. They want to push forward and initiate some combat, and I suppose in a way they have initiated combat, but ultimately it's their execution.
But that is the beauty of this Gambit attack side, is last round we saw Nats fighting them in kitchen.
Is he going to flank Nats? Is he about to flank Nats?
Nats
oh no!
Turn around.
Shados is going to spot him because and Tom, this is the ridiculous thing. They left the spike in spawn. If they didn't leave it in spawn, he wouldn't have been there. He wouldn't have turned around. He wouldn't have spotted the flank, and Avova probably would have killed Nats. But instead, perfect timing on the turnaround. Coldamenta's gone. Mixwell's got a rifle. There's not really much you can do in this. He almost got taken down by a wall bang, and Defo, of course, wins that duel right afterwards. This is unbelievable. G2, one of the most solid teams that we have, not just regionally, but now top 4 in the world, placing at least in this event. And they're just being embarrassed by the CIS squad.
Prime game and flawless, by the way.
Oh, was it, Tom?
Yeah, just like, you know.
I haven't actually seen that. That's the first one of the game, isn't it?
I think so, maybe. I feel like maybe the round before.
Look, they had weaker weapons, so I want to give them a little bit of room on that. It is only 8-0.
This
if
why
they win all 4, it's still doable.
Yeah, this is why I was almost saying, it's like, the thing I've loved about this attack side so far is it hasn't just been that static default. Like, as said, like a couple of rounds ago, Nats was all the way through within the first, like, 20-30 seconds, fighting them at the back of B. There is no right move now for G2, because if they get aggressive and try and fight these players, they're waiting for them, and if they don't, they take the space away from them instead. This is a perfect attack side. It genuinely doesn't get any better than this. If you could find me a team that do it better, well, send it. I want to see it.
Gambit have called attack timeout. You know, they need to work on their tactics here.
Guys, don't get overconfident. Don't let this slip away. Let's make sure we're getting like an 11-1 at worst.
And remember, G2 called attack pause just before they went into that previous round where they had weaker weapons. This will be the round that they were talking about. And it starts out with a Hunter's Fury tag, but no finish off the wall. Bro, come on!
No.
Come on! He walks through his own poison orb and gets the kill. Coldamenta puts out the recon, just confirming they're still here. They've walled up, they're pursuing him. Gambit are looking so confident, but Kellogg's, he only gets the one. A res straight away onto Nats. They'll try to shut him down. Coldamenta with the Odin, and he gets dropped right afterwards. Nats falls, but comes right back to life and breathes life into the game of Gambit here. 8-0, looking for a 9th, and it is a 3 versus 2. They need to deal with Nats. He's in their spawn right now, and he's the only player isolated as they try to go through Tube. Down goes Mixwell, and Nuki has to clutch it. The jump across by Chronicle, just about saving his life. Does he have any idea that Defo is going to be here, though? That was a close spam.
Yeah, this is a dirty point to play on the cross. Looking to try and take him out with a single bullet, and they're almost going to move in a crossfire. It is perfect again. The interplay between these players has been fantastic, and a 9th round. G2 at least fighting back a little bit in this one, but at this point,
I genuinely feel like we've seen 9 different rounds at a Gambit. Like, I don't think they've played...
Other than maybe defaults.
Sure, well, yeah, okay. But even their defaults have had, like, varying things. For example, sending Nats out on the B side, sending him through kitchen, sending him through mid. Just let Nats go and kill them all as the Viper. And we talk about Mixwell's lurk when it comes to playing Viper, and on this map in particular, I think is where he really shines on it. But at 9-0, Gambit have given no space. G2 have got to be feeling locked out. We talked about the pressure. Their best chance of making it to Champions is winning this game. Otherwise, it's LCQ they have to go through, and that is going to be a much, much tougher bracket, and indeed put them many more BO3s away from securing that spot.
Still fighting for orb control. Nat's one away from the Viper's pit, and on the other side of things, Avova does have his res, but they haven't had too many opportunities to use it. Goodbye, Coldamenta. He's gone already. The wall put in place, and I believe they're only spamming it with a Spectre, so I think they're actually going to be able to get the plant without any problems at all. There goes the Viper's pit as well after they get that extra orb from the spike, and well, Avova needs to find a kill here, and he gets nothing for it.
Okay, Mixwell at least trades it back, but here's Defo, operator in hand. Barely looked like he even took the shot, and he was out of there. Blade Storm pop, they really want to secure this 10-0. Nuki comes close, but he's just too low. And with Mixwell walking through the Viper's pit, even after he finds the first, he's going to run right into Chronicle, putting double digits on the board. Gambit are just unstoppable on G2's map pick, and they talked about it on the desk. It was mentioned many times. The Breeze was a pocket pick out of Gambit, and the other two maps look damn good for Gambit as well. Yeah. They won the veto right away. With G2's map pick, I mean, we need to see them take these final 2 rounds. There's absolutely no doubt about that. I don't think you can really rely on, if you're new to Valorant,
you don't think they'll come back from a 12-0?
Attack side, look, hey, Icebox I see is an attack-sided map. 12 in a row? Kind of tough, actually, yeah. A little bit.
100 Thieves got 10 in a row.
True. So did Gambit, right now.
Shut up.
Let's see if they can make it 11. This is a frankly ridiculous display of just a flawless attack side. Absolutely. And they started out by picking off Nuki. The confidence is running. Gambit, known for their slow defaults, instead they're taking very early fights as a 5-man on A, and G2 have rotated fully in.
Yeah, they have to. At this point, take risks, take gambles, put everything you can into
Guardian
these sort of rounds. And
exactly.
Well, they've got the res still. Might be able to bring Nuke back. It's not an awful spot. Been able to bring it back into at least a workable position. Aggression coming through as well. Looking for the fight. He's been shocked out of the round.
Of course. Yep. Tom, I don't know why you're surprised. It seems like every single thing that G2 try to do, Gambit have an answer for it immediately, and Coldamenta caught attempting a flank play. He's like, hey, I'm going to take a page out of Nats's book. Let's see how he likes it. And caught immediately. Gambit with just beautiful play right now, looking for 11. Getting rid of that operator and moving towards the B site where they're just going to play this one yet again, getting their plan, post-plan play, and Nats has so much space to work with, which is an incredibly scary concept.
Yeah, he has that normally, but now it almost seems worse. This duel is everything. Mixwell can take him down, pick up a weapon, but of course he's going to get the drop on him. We're not even surprised at this point. Kellogg's in a 1-versus-4 to give them a round.
He's been flanked!
He gets the first kill.
He's been shot in the back!
He's found Nats from behind. It's almost a miracle in itself, but I don't think it's going to save them. He needs to find 3 more players, and okay. He at least gets a couple, but it doesn't matter for Gambit. 11-0. Have we haven't had a 13-0, have we?
I don't think so. I don't think so, Tom.
Well, I hope that was the jinx for it. I don't want a semi-final with a 13-0.
Gambit and G2. Tom, when I woke up this morning, I was certain, I had a nice breakfast. I was certain I need the energy for all 3 maps in this series, for them to be extended as well. And it's G2's adaptability. It's what they showed us up against Sentinels that I was most excited to see. And yet, Gambit, they've done their research. They were ready for this. And after taking down the former best in the world, these guys really stalling coming into this semi-final. This, as we said, was their chance, or still is, to make it to Masters, or to make it to Champions at the end of the year. Oops! Is that a whiffed shot?
He's human! So
is Mixwell.
And it's gone. And it's gone. Oh, no. No, come on! Come on! Give them something! Finally, Avova, he's managed to get rid of Nats. It might be a lifeline. It might be something to at least make this not a flawless half.
Caught immediately. They see the players on B. They want to try to make the space up, so they walk into A. And of course, what do you know? Gambit are waiting. Gambit are playing a slow round, a default. After picking up the pace in the previous round, man, the depth and versatility of Gambit has been so beautiful. And they still think that they can push Gambit. They still think that they can try to flank this team. And Tom, they fundamentally cannot. Final player alive, Nukia, trying to win this round out. A 1v4. I think I saw that. And you know what? If it takes 12 straight rounds for him to pop a smile, I think we'll see a lot more of that coming into the future. Remember, Gambit already looking at champions. They've got so much time to prepare ahead of that. And if that doesn't scare you after what you're seeing here today, I don't know what will.
Oh, new kit. He's left in a 1v4 mid.
He's not going to win this. Look, they've got post-plant utility. They've got absolutely everything to play with, and they're just peeking up with 3 players. Let's not even try, Tom. I'm through with having hope. G2 have just been beaten 12-0 on their map pick. Now, we're going to throw things over to the desk, and
good luck.
Good luck, guys. Good luck.
No!
I really don't want it to be. You know, if this was an EMEA NA game, sure, yeah. Whip out the 13 zeros. Show them what you got. But Gambit, God, really just showing G2 that, you know what? This is why you're 4th seed. You might be able to beat the best in NA, but this is the EMEA, baby. And Gambit are the kings of this region. Looking for the 13-0. They're on the defensive side. Normally, that means that teams play slow. They defend. Gambit, though, after such a convincing first half, I wouldn't be surprised if they play a little bit more aggressive. They're going towards Nats. Have they learned nothing, Tom? They're going towards Nats.
Yeah, Nats playing in Nats, for anybody wondering. Gonna look to try and find Defo. Still just so clinical, looking for the cross. Kellogg's tagged. They're losing their lives. 3 players remain. G2 being utterly humiliated. They'll get themselves a spike plant. They'll give themselves a bit of hope, but Shados looking to drop more players. Another one falls. It is looking all but over. It's on to Kellogg's to give them anything.